Hello, Aquarius. Welcome to your January soul session. We're going to go ahead and jump into your cards. Your first cards are going to be an overall Okay. I got to get this off the floor. Hold on. Wait. Oh, okay. An overall energy of the challenge. The first card that flew out on the floor, if I can get it to do the thing. Oh my God. Okay. It's the moon card that is Cancerian energy. Is you guys overall okay. Your overall energy for January, and then your challenge is the Eight of Pentacles and the Six of Swords in the reverse. Interesting. Okay. Come on, makeup hand. Let's do the thing. I'm gonna figure out what's going on with this. This is a whole new setup for me recording, and I haven't figured out the lighting yet, so anyway, but those are your challenge cards. So what is looking like for me, Aquarius, in the month of January for you guys? The first thing I would say is to pay attention to your dreams, because that is going to be important. It's more or less, I'm trying not to be too lofty minded here, but more or less, okay, I'll just go straight scientific with it. Most people think that dreams mean absolutely nothing, and it's like just, brain fodder, or your brain trying to, file stuff away, categorize things when you're sleeping. My therapeutic approach, Gestalt therapy, says different. You know what I'm saying? So it's more or less your inhibitions are down when you're asleep, and the truth of the matter can come to the forefront without your mind kind of denying it, like it may do throughout the day when there's different signs and synchronicities that are coming up to point you in a particular direction. So pay attention to your dreams. A quick, easy way for you to do that without having to buy my book on how to do dream work. It's available on my website, by the way, if you're interested. But anyway, use I statements, like tell yourself your dream all over again, but tell it to yourself with you being each person that you interacted with in the dream, and just kind of listen for that theme that you're seeing, of what it is that you're doing to yourself, with yourself, or around yourself, in so many words. Another thing I would say with this, and this is more on the intuitive slash Jungian side with the moon, is mommy issues. You know what I'm saying? If you had a less than stellar mother, I feel like there's some influential factors with this, whether that's in how you're approaching things, your behavior, or literally having issues with her this particular month. That's something to keep an eye out for. And looking at you guys challenge energy here, much like every sign I've done before you, with the Six of Swords in the reverse, it's speaking to a lack thereof of forward movement. There is a lack thereof of forward movement because how you think about things has not changed. So it's more or less you're having the same perspective on things. I think that's why the whole premise with the mommy issues and the dream work is important, because I feel those are kind of trying to show you signs to what this block or error in thinking, or limitations in your thinking, maybe, to where it's like almost like a repeated pattern in a cycle. You're finding yourself ending up in the same place over and over again. And this has a lot to do with how you're thinking about things, because how you're thinking about things is influencing how you're behaving towards them. So it, simply put, it's self-sabotage in so many words. But also looking at this in accordance with this Eight of Pentacles, I feel there's like two messages with this in the context of it being a challenge, in the sense that you guys, and I've been saying this to a lot of signs before you, there could be this element of overworking, right? There's an element of overworking, and even though you're overworking, you're still not seeming to move forward. So, and I can't remember what sign I said this for, but it's almost like you could work buku hours at your job. And I actually mentioned you guys, and I don't remember who it was that I did. It was like Libra or Capricorn. But I was talking about a soul session I did for you guys like years ago. And it was like you guys had a goal once upon a time, you lost sight of the goal, but your behavior never changed. So it's like you were working really hard to save money to buy a house and you were doing a bunch of overtime. And then you got the money to buy the house, but you never changed your behavior. It's like you still were overworking and then getting burned out and just being like, oh my gosh, my life is so hard, but not realizing like, you still overworking unnecessarily. You know what I'm saying? You got the money, so why are you still doing this kind of deal? So I kind of feel this with that to where, which goes into the same thing I've been saying with everyone, which is there's an imbalance between yin and yang energy that's happening where people are doing too much, but they're not like replenishing themselves or they're not, like resting or being in a state of receiving. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of feel that where it's like a challenge to more or less see how we're doing that. But then on the other side of this, I feel this Eight of Pentacles would be speaking to this level of exertion that you put into a lot of other things to really put that into yourself. So this is more or less like a call for self work. You know what I'm saying? So if I were to look at the moon card, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Six of Swords, if I were to look at that through, the tarot therapy lens, this more or less would be saying to me that there's an element of shadow work that needs to be done for Aquarius this month, meaning that there's a need to kind of dive deep to see how it is that we are our own enemy. You know what I'm saying? And there is a imperative need for thought work, right? So, I mean, if you want to look up stuff like this is like really basic cognitive behavioral therapy type of things where we're talking about maladaptive thought patterns, or as some therapists say, stinking thinking, right? So that's like black and white thinking, like thought distortions, black and white thinking, fortune telling thinking. You can literally Google that and a whole list will come up for you. But it's like identifying those thought patterns that aren't in service to you, paying attention to your negative thinking and partaking more in positive thinking, partaking in mindfulness activities, because mindfulness activities, like, you don't meditate just for the sake of meditating. The purpose of meditating, at least from a scientific perspective, um is more or less to help you to get in that in between space to where you can shift from reacting to responding. You know what I'm saying? Because when we're triggered, it's an automatic reaction, but meditation helps you get into that empty space that we don't know exists. You know what I'm saying? To where instead of when we're triggered instantly reacting to it, that we can actually be like, oh, wow, this is interesting, and respond, because that's the same habit that you're practicing in mindfulness. That's why when you're doing meditation, they always say, if something comes to mind, if you start thinking about your grocery list, just redirect yourself to your breathing. You know what I'm saying? That's teaching you how to respond versus react. So little tidbit that you learn there. But anywho, getting into you guys central energy for the month, the card that's representing you guys. Interesting. It's time to let it go, Aquarius. We have the 10 of Swords in the reverse. Your energy coming from your recent past, coming from the latter part of 2023/December into the present moment. We have the Emperor in the reverse. I'm literally so tired of doing this. It's so annoying. Oh my God. I'll fix the lighting eventually. We have the Emperor in the reverse. That's, of course, speaking to not being in your full power, being in a state of disempowerment, and being in toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity, not in the social construct sense, but toxic masculinity in the sense of what I was speaking about before, where there's an issue with yin and yang. You're doing too much and you're not receiving enough. What's in your hidden influence? Interesting. We have the Judgment in the reverse. Okay, well, that worked. In your above energy, which is like your ethereal influences and what's potentially on your mind, we have the Strength in the reverse. That's as good as it's going to get. That's Leo energy, by the way. Emperor energy is Aries. Oh, let me see. Is there anything else here? Oh, yeah, I already told y'all that the moon was Cancer. And then in you guys' immediate future going forward into February, we have, dang nabbit, son of a gun. We have the, God, I hate this. I hate this so much. Wait. Okay, whatever. The Ace of Swords in the reverse. Okay, so here's the dealio. This is, damn, this, all these cards are in the reverse. Okay, so anywho, Here's the thing. There's two things here that are crying out to me. Looking at the energy representing you guys, the Ten of Swords in the reverse, and right next to it, your immediate future, the upright. And I feel that is the work that you guys have the ability to do this month, with this challenge being this Eight of Pentacles, as well as the Six of Swords in the reverse. Because with 10 exists within the ace, I look at the ace as a seed. You feel what I'm saying? So whenever you get to the 10 of swords, it's like, yeah, it's a big like blow up. You realize like, oh my gosh, like it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. You know what I'm saying? Like I've created this. The way that I've been thinking about things is what has caused my own demise. But when you get that realization, you can kind of die to that old way of being, and you can open up to, this fresh mindset. So you can move to the light side of the sword. But what I'm seeing with this, which is what I want to prevent you guys from doing, because coming into the month with the emperor in the reverse, you're in a disempowered state and you're seeing yourself at a disadvantage. You're feeling as if you're out of control and life is happening to you as opposed to for you, right? Also in your mental space with the strength in the reverse, it's still that disempowered state. So more or less Aquarius is in this state of being where you're reacting a lot to things as opposed to responding to it. So it's like trigger city. You know what I'm saying? So being in a disempowered state makes you more vulnerable to being triggered, because what actually happens is it feels like everyone is attacking you and everyone is against you, when the root of the issue, right, is our hidden influence, judgment in the reverse. It's how it is that you're feeling about yourself. So more or less looking at all this energy here, even though it's in the reverse, it's saying that there's a very blocked energy that Aquarius is operating in January. However, with the overall energy being the moon card, it's a call to say that, hey, it's time for us to do the work and face this. So I can say like clearly for Aquarius, there's a need to do like, and I hate to call it that, but I mean, I guess that's the easiest term to understand. There's really a need to do a lot of shadow work. Like there's a need to face your shadow, because my sneaking suspicion is that your shadow has been who has been running the show. Now, whereas if we go back a couple of signs, Virgo, who I did prior to you guys, I mean, freak everybody, okay? But specifically Virgo, I was talking to them about like this pseudo self that they have created for themselves. And it even reminds me of like a reading I did for Sag in 2018 or something, where I saw this whole concrete self that they had created. It's like this suit that they put on every day. It's very similar to this Aquarius. It's almost like you guys have been suppressing stuff for so long. It's almost like, what is that, the Native American proverb of like the wolf that you feed? It's almost like you guys disassociated from your shadow, but everything it is that you've been dealing with over the course of the years, and you've been suppressing it, that has been food for the shadow. So now the shadow is like hella buff. The shadow's been working out. So the shadow's like hella buff and strong, very consciously aware of everything that's happening out here, right? But Aquarius has been using stuff and things, overworking, whatever, to distract yourself from these things. So you're just like taking it and tossing it behind you, and the shadow's like, bam, bam, thank you, right? Nom, 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 right? So now your shadow has outgrown you. And this is so interesting how I'm hearing this, dude. It's like the shadow has outgrown you. It's hella buff and strong, and you are under the illusion that you are in control of your life. And you're sitting here like, oh my gosh, why do these things keep happening? Right? Like, why do I keep ending up in the same place? And it's because you're oblivious to the fact that the shadow's like literally reaching over you and like puppet mastering your entire life, which is why, because like when we're talking about the shadow now, that's the reason why there's this cyclical nature. That's the reason why things keep happening over and over and over again. You keep ending up in the same place. You keep meeting the same people. You end up with the same bosses. It's like you're constantly trying to get out of something and can't figure out, why is this always happening to me? Why are people always doing this to me? that's literally like the illustration of what it is that's happening, right? It's like you're not in control, your shadow is. So, more or less, what's being asked of you guys in the month of January is like to turn around and face yourself, because how it is that you're seeing yourself as powerless to your experience, but just because you've disassociated from your shadow or whatever the case, like that doesn't mean that it's not still happening. It's like the equivalent of what I said earlier in the signs when and I say watch Capricorn because you're in Capricorn, energy, and it's influencing you anyway. So Capricorn's reading is like a collective. If you didn't know that, you would only not know that if you're new. But anyway, but legit, it's like it's imperative to know that, because if you're not really facing or acknowledging what it is that's happening, it's like this is going to continue to happen because you are still very much your shadow, even if you have like disconnected from it. You know what I'm saying? And mind you, I'm using this illustratively, but I see this as like a disconnect of not dealing with what is actually happening in front of you. It's almost like taking it like this is just how it is, or this is just how my family is, this is just how life is, this is just how people are, or God forbid, this is just how I am. Like, I don't like stuff like this because as a therapist, dude, I hear this all the time where people use or start to believe, because I think people wholeheartedly believe this. People start to believe that their defense mechanisms are personality traits. And it's like, for me, I know the vast difference between a defense mechanism and a personality trait. And it's like, that's not a personality trait. Like, that's not how you are. It's like you made a decision to be this way to protect yourself from XYZ. You know what I'm saying? That's not just how you are. That's how it is that you navigate to keep you safe. You know what I'm saying? So I feel with this, there's a need this month for you guys to face that. Otherwise, because what the forewarning is with this, if these shadow aspects of the self, which are influencing your thoughts and thus influencing your behavior, if that isn't addressed, then it's like with this Ace of Swords in the reverse, you're going to be going forward into February, which is your birthday season. You know what I'm saying? You guys are going to be going forward into February, recreating the same experience, because it's like your mind isn't going to be clear. You're still going to be on the dark side of the sword, right? Still clinging to things that are dead and things that need to be overcome at this point. And I feel the need to stress that. It's like, I don't know, a lot of things I hear people say, it's like, oh yeah, this happened in my past, but it's the past and it's over with. Like, I don't care about that. That's not affecting me. And it's like, I mean, sure, you could tell yourself that, you know what I'm saying? But 9 times out of 10, you just don't see the connection. It's like you consciously don't think that it's affecting you. But just like I said, your shadow's stronger than you are. So it's more in control than you are, right? So the whole key here is awareness. And of course, that seems like a tall order, but the trust that I have for me doing, these soul sessions to, a bunch of people like all over everywhere, is the fact that my thought and my intention is like, when you're coming into these readings, I'm just giving you the other half of stuff that you've already been thinking about and pondering on. So who this message is for someone where you've already gotten a shit ton of like signs, or you've been having a shit ton of dreams leading up until this point that keep showing you the same thing, or there is a consistent repeated pattern in your life and you're like, why does this keep happening, type of deal. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's codependency or dating narcs or having narky bosses, like whatever it is, like there's something that you feel disempowered about and something that is consistently repeating in your life, and there's judgments that you've made about this thing. But I'm telling you to change the period at the end of your sentence to a semicolon, because I feel you guys have kind of taken this sitting down and have accepted that this is just the way that I am, or just the way that things are, and that's not the case. So much like the collective, it's a call for your true authentic self to come up, because like with this judgment in the reverse here, and it being in your hidden influence, It's more or less saying it's a judgment that you've made about something that you're unaware of, subconscious shadow, right? A limiting belief, a judgment that you made about something past tense that's preventing you from elevating. It's preventing you from evolving. So you can't experience anything other than this glass ceiling that you've placed on your own life. You feel what I'm saying? So, and that could be a myriad of different things. Whether it's like I'll never fall in love, I'll never be rich, like, no one ever likes me, I can't trust nobody, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? But it's a need for that to be addressed because that's the root of this feeling of being disempowered or out of control of your life. So that is the work that is going to be done by Aquarius this particular month. And of course, I always say this, if this is something too complicated for you guys to do on your own, it is not going to be the end of the world if you reach out to a friendly local neighborhood therapist. There's tons of us all over the country. You know what I'm saying? I can't say all over the world because, I don't know how therapy goes in other countries. I only know like a little bit like about Italy, and that's just because my school had an exchange program with Italy. But anyway, so that's been your soul session. But like I said, reach out to a therapist if this is too complex. And I mean, I'm saying this as a clinician. I personally feel that trying to sort through this solo dolo by yourself, it's too convoluted. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying not to get too deep into it because it can be overwhelming. But I feel like false core beliefs, all these things, you doing a couple of shadow work journal prompts is not going to fix this. Like, let's just be honest. You know what I'm saying? So if you haven't already started therapy, I think that, this would be a great time. We're in the new year, like get her done, dag nabbit, son of a gun. So anywho, that's been your soul session. Let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, I love your freaking face and I'll see you guys sooner than later. And sooner than later is going to be in the next soul session. So love your face. Bye.